For me, it started way back in Naitasiri. My parents were posted there as school teachers. So I grew up in Naitasiri. I was born in Kandavu, and as early as I can remember, ever since I started school, I started playing rugby. And every recess, just like any normal Fijian kid, every recess, every lunchtime, you spend the time playing with empty bottles, or one thing we used to use is the balambala, the inside of the balambala, and you dry it and it becomes very, very rubbery. And so that was our rugby ball in those days. And the earliest memory was coming to Fiji, coming to Suva in 1977 to watch the British Lions as a class 3 student of Lomaibono Primary School. That was probably one of the key memories, watching the British Lions in 77 and watching the 3-test series against Tong, also the same year, building up to the Lions game. I watched those 3 tests against Tong at Bacchus Park, and we traveled on the bus from Naitasiri to Suva to watch the British Lions. I remember very well, I was in class 3. I was 8 years old. I watched the British Lions, and Pio Bosco, Galleratu, Senitigi Nasavi were all my heroes growing up. And Galleratu was someone that I really admired how he played for Rewa and also for Fiji. He later on moved to Australia to represent Australia, but I just wanted to be like them as a young Fijian boy growing up. The passion is always there. You get excited as soon as you walk on the road and you see kids playing touch. The excitement is always there. I think from all the little boys to all the old men, the excitement is still the same whenever you watch a rugby game. I spent most of my rugby playing days in New Zealand as I moved over to finish high school and university. I think now there's so much laws and regulations, and the safety for the player safety has become very, very crucial in any contact sport. But before we talk about it now, how it was like to play rugby and boxing at the same time. You stand under the goal post. Instead of getting a yellow card, you have to stand under your goal post for 10 minutes, and that was the sin bin. So I know probably a lot of people don't remember that far back, so you have to stand behind the goal post at the dead ball line if you get in nowadays what they call yellow card.
Do you remember the first time you were selected to join the Flying Fijians?
Yes, I was actually playing for Wellington. We went up to play North Harbour. This was way back in 1994. And I was marking Lawrence Little, who was the brother of the All Black Walter Little. And at the aftermatch, our coach, Brad Johnston, then I did not know who Brad Johnston was. He asked if I would like to play for Fiji. And I said yes. I didn't, and he said he was coming to help Fiji Rugby Union in 1994 and 95. And then in 95 I came over, and then we trialed, and I got selected in 1995. I was very happy. I was very excited. Growing up in Suva, you have a lot of you sort of look up to the older players. And when I represented Fiji, I didn't quite realize how important it was until I got home, and my mother and all my sisters and our neighbors came and congratulated me. Yeah.
Were you surprised at the moment when he asked you if you wanted to join?
I was quite surprised, because he's a New Zealander asking me to play for Fiji. I had no idea who he was, but then he said he was coming in to help Fiji Rugby at that time, and that was way back in 1994. And Lawrence, who I was marking on that game, both of us came and played for Fiji at the same. We played our first test together against Canada in Nandi. It's always an honor being the first time, all my family drove down from Suva to come and watch me play in Nandi. And I had to fly back the following Sunday back to Wellington. Probably just sitting, just standing there. That time we did not have to, we sort of come in a huddle and sing the national anthem. You don't line up in front of the grandstand or anything like that. I remember we had a former All Black prop, Ron Williams, who was also playing. And most of us played our first game against Canada that day. And that's when they started to include overseas based players coming in to represent Fiji. So we were very lucky and also very honored to have been recognized, even though we played our rugby overseas. We had the opportunity and we were grateful for that to come and represent Fiji. I scored a try on that day, so that was the icing on the cake for me. We had Troy Levindiri who also played, he was playing for Fiji before. Paul Lambale, he's playing in Canterbury, we all came in. I think Jacob Raluni played his first game, and a few others. I'm sure Daniel Rouse. A lot of us played, Emori Catalau. It was a year we did not qualify for the World Cup. So we stayed, and that year I think we were given a lifeline. We toured Wales and Ireland in the same year, 1995. So it was like Fiji coming out of, they used to call it the doldrums. Every time our manager Seleni Vietaki speaks, it's like it's us coming out of the doldrums and try to claw our way back into rugby recognition, and to have been selected, was a great honor. That first game, you always remember everything, I guess for any international rugby player. And the other one was when I captained Fiji for the first time against Scotland in 1998, which was 3 years down the line. So to represent your country is an honor, but to be chosen as captain, I think it's a different feeling altogether. You sort of feel the weight of your families, your friends, your team, and your nation on your shoulders. Yeah.
You have the Scotland test coming up. I'm sure you must be enjoying your birthday.
So it happened a long time ago. I was just recollecting yesterday. It's almost 30 years ago, and but it's that I think those two moments remain probably the. And in '96, when we went and played the World Champions Springboks in Pretoria, that was a huge occasion for us. I think we played the All Blacks. We had Frank Barnes, who was one of the legend New Zealand centres. We played the Wallabies. We were marking Tim Horan and Jason Little. So you get to face a lot of world-class opponents, and to probably rub shoulders against them, it's a huge honor, and to be doing that, and we're grateful for that opportunity.
Back live we go, and here is Sorovaki pushing it ahead. Michael Jones is the only player back. Chance for Ferro to get the first try, and he does. Fiji have their first try, and Ferro gets it. And the crowd.
Well, you watch it now, and that was probably the only clip I can see of myself. But it's I mean the opening game, you sort of run through the space, you look to your left and right, and you just chip ahead. And Ferro, I think, was playing his first game that night. He outsprinted everybody to score that try. So that was very early into the game. I would just like to thank the Fiji Rugby and the people of Fiji to have been given an opportunity, like all the other players, and probably wishing our flying Fijians the very best this weekend. And now all of them are professionals, and we just want to wish them well. People like us who probably come from any normal Fijian boys' rugby journey or girls' rugby journey is to represent their country, and to have done so, it's a great honor indeed. And now you look back at those moments, and you form good friendships along the way. You get to visit great countries, and yeah, you still make friends now, even though it's been 30 or so years after you played your first game. It is a great journey indeed.
Was it part of your plan after to be part of like the people behind the scenes of Fiji rugby?
Now?
Yeah.
You know, it's a great question. It's you sort of felt that you have something to give back, and you know, 16 years later, I'm still here. I knew I had something to give back to the organization who had helped me in so many ways. You know, I finished off my rugby in Japan through the Fiji Rugby Union, and the Fiji Rugby Union has made so many families happy. You know, through providing opportunities for players, through the sevens programs, you know, through getting recognition through the local competition deans. So, you know, people see this building, it's still old, but the people coming through here have gone on to make great living and be able to help their families, and not only their families, but our nation as a whole. So, as small as it may seem, the impact in Fiji is huge. The passion is still here. The passion is still here. You still watch the game. You still get excited every time Fiji runs onto the field. Now it's closely watched with television, so you can't really misbehave in a sense. You can't really put a foot wrong, because you're a role model to so many kids. You know, you influence a lot of people. You influence our nation. You influence our kids, our future. And I see it now as a great opportunity. You know, and I keep. You know, while Fiji Rugby Union may be small, people have come through here and have gone out and being able to look after their families, and they have all their success stories that they can share, and it is because Fiji Rugby Union have created those opportunities.